Hello to our viewers around the world. I'm Joke Rogers here in Lagos. Here's what's coming up within the next half hour. Former French President Nicolas Sarkozy begins 5-year jail sentence for campaign finance conspiracy. Conservative lawmaker Sanae Takaichi wins parliament vote, becoming Japan's first female prime minister. Plus, U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance arrives in Israel as Washington tries to strengthen Gaza ceasefire deal. Let's begin the world today. Former French President Nicolas Sarkozy has begun a 5-year jail sentence after being convicted for conspiring to fund his 2007 election campaign with money from Libyan dictator Muammar Gaddafi. Mr. Sarkozy, the first former French president to be jailed, is being held in a 9-square-meter isolation cell at La Santé prison while he appeals his verdict. More than 100 supporters gathered outside his Paris home after his 28-year-old son, Louis, called for a show of support for the man who led France from 2007 to 2012. Japan has elected Sanae Takaichi as its first female prime minister. The 64-year-old conservative lawmaker, often called Japan's Iron Lady for her tough style and admiration of late former UK Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher, won a narrow parliamentary majority in a runoff vote. She secured 237 votes in the lower house and 125 in the upper, just one above the required threshold. Ms. Takaichi from the ruling Liberal Democratic Party succeeded in her third bid for Japan's leader amid a slump in public trust and party scandals. A Russian bombardment of energy facilities has left hundreds of thousands of people without electricity in northern Ukraine. Officials say the Chernihiv region lost all power supply after a series of strikes on Monday night. The Energy Ministry confirmed that repairs are underway, but drone threats have slowed restoration work. The attack also hit neighboring Sumy as Moscow continues its strikes on Ukraine's energy grid ahead of winter. Authorities say residents in the north have become accustomed to frequent blackouts. EU Foreign Policy Chief Kaja Kallas, in the meantime, has defended the bloc's sanction strategy against Russia amid accusations that Europe is stalling peace efforts. Speaking after a meeting of foreign ministers in Luxembourg, she confirmed that the EU is moving forward with its 19th package of sanctions since the war began, with the 20th already being prepared. Energy ministers also backed a plan to phase out Russian gas by 2028, with only Hungary and Slovakia opposing the move. The proposal now heads to the European Parliament for approval.
Support President Trump's efforts to end the war, but Putin will only negotiate seriously if he thinks he's losing. This week, we aim to adopt a major new sanctions package on Russia. Every euro we deny Russia is one that it can't use on war. Ministers were also clear today that after the 19th package, we should work on the next package. It will not be the last one. We should also all heed to President Trump's call to stop buying Russian oil and gas. Ukraine needs more military support, but also more financial support. Ministers today discussed the European Commission's proposal to mobilize frozen Russian assets for Ukraine's immediate defense needs. There was a broad support today to get this done, and it is crucial that we make progress on addressing the legal and fiscal modalities this week. The reparation loan can send a very powerful message to Moscow that it can't outlast us. As we heard from Minister Subiha, Russia's terror attacks on the energy grid are intensifying. Russia seeks to inflict as much harm on the civilians as possible. So today we invited the European Commission to propose additional measures to better support Ukrainian energy security. Member States also agreed to reach out to third countries to secure repair equipment and increase gas deliveries to Ukraine.
Elsewhere, U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance has arrived in Israel to reinforce the ceasefire agreement between Israel and Hamas. He is expected to urge Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to begin negotiations on a long-term peace plan. The visit follows a flare-up of violence on Sunday when a Hamas attack killed 2 Israeli soldiers and Israeli airstrikes killed dozens of Palestinians. U.S. envoys Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner, who helped broker the initial deal, also met with Mr. Netanyahu on Monday. Both sides say the 12-day truce remains in place despite the tensions. Well, in the United States, demolition has begun on a section of the White House East Wing to create a new ballroom. President Donald Trump called it a full modernization of the historic building. Construction crews have removed sections of the covered entryway, with the project expected to cost more than $250 million. The reconstruction, however, comes at no cost to the government. It's also not expected to interfere with existing landmarks.
You know, we're building right behind us, we're building a ballroom. They've wanted a ballroom for 150 years, and I'm giving that honor to this wonderful place. I think we should do it. This was the ballroom, and this room holds 88 people, and the new one will hold 999 people, which is a difference. I say 999 because I didn't want to crack 1,000. I didn't want people to get concerned because that's getting big, but we're going to have we'll have the most beautiful ballroom in the country. It's going on. And for those that are interested, we got to get back to baseball, but you see the gold drapes? That's a knockout panel. We knock it in, you go, that comes out, and then you have essentially glass and exactly in the decor of the White House. I didn't know I'd be standing here right now, because right on the other side, you have a lot of construction going on, which you might hear periodically, but that's a knockout panel, and that goes right into the ballroom. And the ballroom's going to be beautiful. So you'll have drinks, cocktails, everything on this floor. And then they'll say, welcome to dinner. You walk into the ballroom.
And still ahead on the program. China's fireworks capital breaks world records with 16,000 drones. That's in a moment. Please stay with us. Welcome back. The second edition of the Creation Africa Forum has ended in Lagos, Nigeria. The event, in collaboration with the French government and a few other private firms in Nigeria and abroad, drew participants from across the continent to the Federal Palace Hotel. Our Foreign Affairs correspondent Amarachi Bani reports.
The Creation Africa event, the brainchild of the French government, kicked off in Lagos last week. Although the second time the event is holding worldwide, Lagos was chosen as location for its first edition in Africa. It has become one of the largest gatherings for creators on the continent.
Incredible.
French President Emmanuel Macron addressed the event via video conference.
Choosing Lagos to host the first African edition was an obvious decision. Lagos is not only a creative powerhouse in Africa, but also a global reference for cultural innovation. You've gathered in this vibrant city to explore new perspectives, foster collaboration, and spark creative energy. You are exploring exciting new frontiers in all areas, such as music, TV series, animation, video games, visual effects, comics, digital fashion, etc. But Creation Africa is more than just a forum. It's a powerful opportunity to bring people together across borders, across languages, and to strengthen the ties that unite our creative industries.
Co-founder and executive director, Nollywood Week.
Apart from introducing all of the resource persons who would help make the experience unforgettable, with various classes running simultaneously, so participants gain the full potential of the conference. Day one saw the world premiere of the movie Johansa, the first of its kind African sci-fi saga, created and animated by Paul Louis Julie and co-produced by Joaquim Lando of Sanuwara Studios and Canal Plus International. Paul and Joaquim were at the event to explain the story behind the movie.
The idea was Africa is so diverse as a continent that one corner of it is as different to the other corner as, England is from India. And so many times you'll have in Western sensibility, putting Africa into a monolith. And I'm like, well, if I'm going to show the diversity of Africa, I need to create these images and these cultures that show that you can have all these different futuristic cultures that are each inspired from existing African cultures with no other influence. Like they can stand on their own two legs and you can see how modern they look.
Executive Director Mansa Elizabeth Gomez speaks to us about the importance of the second edition.
For me, as a diaspora kid, I always felt like a void in my journey in life because my parents were born on that continent. I was born over there, and it always has been a struggle for me to connect the two. And being able and having the means to do something like this on the continent really means something. It means something really important to me. So I wanted to create a space where I can connect with my fellows from the continent, where we can thrive together with our project, because I used to be like them. I used to be a director. I launched a magazine. I used to work for a dancing company, and it was always difficult for me to find the right door to knock on, to find money, to find collaborators, to find mentorship. And Creation Africa is about this.
By day two, amidst the pop-up Lagos high-end stores, the French Foreign Minister Jean-Noël Barrot makes a visit.
And we're seeing very large participation of creative talents coming from all over Africa. 1,000 participants coming from 42 countries. 80 of these participant creators are from Nigeria. And I've seen a lot of talent and energy in video games, XR, webtoons, cinema, digital design, etc., etc. And I'm very proud that we have supported and contributed to this success, because France is at the forefront of creative and cultural industries in Europe, when Nigeria is at the forefront of these industries in Africa.
There are prizes to be won and celebrations to be had until the next Creation Forum event. Amarachi Ubani, Channel Television News.
We're in South Africa now, where the country's online gambling industry has raked in $4 billion in revenue over the past year, a record that's sparking growing concern over regulation, addiction, and the rapid rise of digital betting. Overall, the country's gambling turnover climbed to $80 billion in the year 2024 to 2025 financial year, up from $61 billion the previous year, which has become a worrying trend. Our South Africa correspondent Innocent Samusa reports.
A record-breaking boom in online gambling is raising serious concerns about addiction, youth exposure, and weak regulation. I spoke with independent economist and analyst Bonke Dumisa to unpack the economic impact of this growing industry, with South Africa's online gambling sector generating $4 billion in revenue last year. I began by asking him whether this surge represents genuine economic opportunity or if it hides deeper social and productivity costs. Here's what he had to say.
It is not surprising that you've had over 75 billion rands revenue from online gambling.
Professor Dumisa says the growing concern about regulation is a myth.
And I hear that some people say there's less regulations on online gambling. That is a myth. The South African Revenue Services is everything. There's something which is called the Central Monitoring System, which is actually used in gambling to make sure that whatever money goes in there is fully accounted for.
Given the rapid expansion of online betting and the alleged absence of tighter regulation, I asked Professor Dumisa if he believes government is missing out on potential tax revenue and what economic mechanisms could be used to balance growth with consumer protection.
Yes, there must be regulations, but as I say, there are more regulations on gambling than in many other sectors. Let us really monitor what is happening there and support it so long as people who conduct those online gambling processes pay their taxes.
But how do we rehabilitate this challenge? Responsible Gambling Executive Director Sibongile Simelane Kuntana explains.
First thing, you need to admit that you've got a problem. Key to any treatment is acknowledging that you've got a problem. Secondly, you need to have a support structure. The environment also plays a key role. When you've got a family member or families that are supporting and understanding that you are going through some difficulty, it always helps for you to then deal with the problem. We also offer outpatient program where individuals can come in by themselves to seek treatment.
What remains clear is that the balance between profit, protection, and policy will define the future of South Africa's online gambling landscape. From Johannesburg, South Africa, Innocent Simos, Channels Television News.
Uganda and the Democratic Republic of Congo have agreed to promote closer ties through a series of economic and trade commitments unveiled during the Uganda DRC Business Connect Forum in the commercial city of Butembo, North Kivu. Uganda's ambassador to the DRC, Kalisa Farid, urged both sides to eliminate non-tariff barriers and harmonize trade standards, calling for clear timelines for upgrading infrastructure and for the strengthening of joint border committees to facilitate smoother trade. Both countries have reaffirmed the political will of Presidents Yoweri Museveni and Felix Tshisekedi to enhance cross-border trade and social development.
Again, eliminate non-tariff barriers hindering our trade, strengthen joint border committees. RDCs are here. We'll keep your joint border committees. You see, these borders were put in by people who didn't know that the bondage we have as Africans is one. So they want it, they don't want it. The RDC, which so speaks the same as the people on the other side don't. And the RDC in Kasese speaks more the same as far as Butembo. So this issue of strengthening joint border committees is very, very important. Reaffirm our political will to eliminate all non-tariff barriers and promote seamless trade flow. From Uganda side, I know for sure we want to do away with non-tariff barriers. We are also urging our brothers in Congo to do the same so that we harmonize trade and simplify trade for businesses.
And finally on the program, China has set a new world record with nearly 16,000 drones lighting up the night sky over Liuyang in Hunan province. The massive display featured images of a tree of life and a giant flower, followed by a cascade of golden fireworks described as a liquid gold waterfall. The performance, which combines technology and tradition, captivated millions of viewers both on-site and online. Liuyang City, which is known as China's fireworks capital, broke 2 Guinness World Records, one for launching about 16,000 drones controlled by a single computer, and another for a firework display involving more than 7,000 drones. The show, titled A Firework Belonging to Me, celebrated the city's heritage as the birthplace of Chinese fireworks, while showcasing its drive for modern innovation. Beauty indeed. That's it on The World Today. Thank you for watching. I'm Joke Rogers.